Hey there. Today we're going to be talking about first language lessons and what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and if we will be using it again. This is our second year using these books. And so honestly, these fall under kind of like the classical education approach, which isn't something I'm super passionate on. I was recommended these by a friend, and I thought, well, I trusted her, so we gave it a shot a couple of years ago, and I do like it. Let me begin first by telling you it's written by Jesse Wise and Sarah Buffington. Um, and if you aren't familiar with this series, the four main things that they focus on are memorizing poetry and rules and definitions, copywork and dictation, narration, and grammar. So let me explain to you why these things are important in these books. Memorizing poetry, it builds confidence and it trains the children to have a better attention span. When I was younger, I really liked memorizing poetry. For some reason, some of the poems that they put in there are really hard to memorize simply because they don't rhyme. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I don't have a very sophisticated way of thinking. And so they're harder for me and for my kids. So that was kind of a downfall for us. The rules and definitions are really great because it's super duper repetitive. So it really is easy to memorize because you say it, everything's pretty much, you say it 3 times a day for, a chunk of time, and then you'll not say that specific definition for a while, and then they'll come back to it. So it's kind of like a spiral approach where you keep coming back to the same things to kind of jog your memory of it. They do recommend, if you didn't do, this is level 3, so I'm using this on my 3rd grader right now. They do say that if you didn't do level 1 or level 2, we only did level 2, that you could buy the CD where they have songs of the definitions and rules. We didn't do that, and we haven't really had that hard of a time with it. And then it goes on to copywork and dictation. This is supposed to help the child to learn to write correctly. And dictation teaches them to picture things in their sentence. So dictation is when you say a sentence to them and then they write it down. So you can say it as many times as they need, but they have to be the ones to transfer that thought onto paper for you. It's supposed to help them to be able to have a complete thought before writing something down. Because I think sometimes kids sit down and they're like, they'll write the first couple of words of a sentence and they're like, what do I want to talk about? And that's why they end up with sentences that don't quite make sense. So I do like this portion of it. Then they go on to narration, where the students learn to retell stories or poems from using their own words. But there isn't any original writing in these books. They say that that's in the later grades. So that's something that I really look forward to. I do supplement that because I think that it's valuable to be writing more than there is in this. And then the grammar, which is really just learning to talk in a way that sounds pleasant. It's a lot of constructing and diagramming sentences, which really just breaks down each part of speech in a sentence, which is not something that I remember doing in elementary school. And I'll show you that really quickly. So this is the teacher's guide. I got this for $15 at a homeschool convention. And so I'll open up right in the beginning. And you can see the lessons aren't too long. They take about 30 minutes, which is definitely a bonus for us. So what they do is they go instructor, student together, and they tell you exactly what everyone will say. It'll also tell you what is written in the student's workbook. And so this is where they're really opening up about teaching how to diagram sentences, which was good for me because I didn't know anything about it. So you can see this lesson was 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. There's always a dictation exercise. Well, usually a dictation exercise at the end and an optional follow-up if you feel like you need more work. We rarely do the optional follow-up. And then I'll show you the children's book. This one was $10. This is a workbook. It is 3-hole punched, so you could rip pages out and put them in a binder if you want. Not exactly my what we do. So let me show you the same lesson that I just showed you in the other book was lesson 13. So in her book, it's not as long. Mine was 4 pages. Hers is 3. So there's a couple of things that she will fill out. A lot of it was just looking at it and reading it. Stuff like this. And then her dictation exercise. And then I always, they do say that you should spell the words for a child if they ask how to when they're dictating something. So anyways, we are actually halfway through the year. Well, no, we're farther than halfway. We're on lesson 59 now, after today. And our sentence diagramming has gotten a lot more intense. Like I just didn't even realize it could go on for this long. And there's more to come. So that's a great part of it. So the big pros about this is that everything is scripted, which is really good for me because a lot of times I don't know how to teach something. I don't know what to say. And this means I don't have to plan anything. So that's really good. And it's also great because you truly learn along with the kids. So for that sense, it helps me too. I need to be learning too because I never learned to diagram sentences. So that's beneficial for me. And another thing that I like is that the lessons are really only about 20 to 30 minutes of sitting with the child, which isn't that much time, but it's very intentional. And it's good time that you get to spend with them instead of setting something in front of them. Now, I will say that's kind of also on my cons list because I do wish that there was more independent work because I do like sitting with my children and learning with them and reading to them. But since I have multiple children, sometimes it doesn't really flow very nicely. Sometimes I wish there was some extra work in the back of the workbook that was, checkup work or secondary studies or just review that I could pop in front of them and they could do that. You're really only supposed to do it 2 to 3 times a week. I think the total number of lessons in here are 89 lessons. So if you do a 36-week school year, it's about 2 to 3 lessons a week. We do it sometimes 4 times. I enjoy it, and since it's scripted, it's very easy for me to be like, okay, we're going to do language arts now. So another con is that the poem memorization and the definition repeating can be exhausting at 9 o'clock in the morning for me to repeat, the list of 30-word list of prepositions 3 times just makes my mouth dry thinking about it. But again, it's good because I've memorized them too. It's just sometimes it feels like a lot of talking when I'm already talking all the time to kids. And lastly, this has just been recently, my daughter has been complaining about it. She doesn't want to do it. And I don't know if it's the repetitiveness of the sentence diagramming or if it's just she doesn't want to do school right now. She's just kind of over it at this point in the year. I do believe that this is something we're going to hold on to. We're going to continue doing this because I like it. I feel like it's good. I feel like it's sound. And I like that it's scripted. And it's also, the teacher books are obviously reusable. And the student workbooks aren't that expensive. Like I said, I got mine $10. It looks like online you can find them for $18.95. For a whole year, I'm good with that. So hopefully that was helpful. That was First Language Lessons by Jessie Wise and Sarah Buffington. Why I liked it and why I will be buying it again. If you want to check out my YouTube channel. I have lots of other homeschool reviews, and I'm going to be posting more on a weekly basis. You can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and also at Think on Such Things blog. And you can also check out my blog on thinkonssuchthingsblog.com, where I talk about homeschooling, frugal family living, and just the lovely thoughts on scripture and life and marriage and love and all of those things that just strengthen and build us up together. So once again, I'm Adeline. It was good talking to you, and I hope that this was helpful.